A community is mourning the sudden death of a college student in Watertown.
Hannah Glass, who had a severe nut allergy, died after eating a brownie.
The death of a beautiful dancer with a peanut allergy who died after taking just one bite of a cookie.
Disney influencer Dominique Brown has died at age 34 following a severe allergic reaction.
The family of a recent URI graduate is grieving after his sudden, unexpected death.
My name is Braxton, and I have a life-threatening food allergy. I'm from San Jose, California, and I'm a middle child with an older sister and a younger brother. I was diagnosed at 14 months old in a very sudden way. One day, my sister was eating a jar of Planters peanuts and happened to spill one on the floor. Like any kid would, I picked one up, put it into my mouth, and instantly went into anaphylactic shock.
I saw peanuts on the floor and I thought immediately that he was choking. And I was asking my daughter what happened, but she didn't know. I rushed him into the hospital, right into the ER, because I thought he was choking on something. And at the time I didn't have CPR training yet. And it was there that the doctor said to me, and I remember really vividly, that if you didn't bring him here in 10 minutes, he would have probably choked out.
And it was that night that I was diagnosed with a severe, life-threatening peanut allergy.
We started this tradition with our firstborn where we would have birthday cakes every month celebrated for our kids. One of the things we noticed with Braxton was that he spit up a lot when we were giving him this cake early on, and he was vomiting on occasion. And it started becoming noticeable when we were at a friend's house and he vomited on their brand new carpet. So at the time, we didn't really notice there was a pattern of something. We just thought he was sick. Obviously, after the testing, we realized he had a severe reaction to egg whites. The only person I remember with food allergies in our family was my nephew, Ryan. I remember him always carrying an EpiPen, and my sister and I talked about it. She came to me and she said, "Carol, I just got accepted into this study." Around 2012, there's this doctor named Carrie Nadel. She's pretty well known immunologist and specialist around food allergies at Stanford. And she had this research study where I believe it was 85 kids and parents were part of the study. They desensitized kids and these adults with their food allergies. And it was such a major breakthrough at the time because nothing like that had been done. That whole story ended up on the front page of the New York Times. The greatest challenge for any parent is just keeping your kids safe. And for Braxton, that's always on my mind more often than most of my kids. The thing with food allergies is it's a peculiar disease. You don't get sick all the time. It's an omnipresent danger. And so you have to be really aware and diligent about the things that you're doing because it's everywhere and it can happen at any time.
Today, I'm allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, and shellfish. But early on, the list was much longer. Every year, I always visit my allergist. During those visits, I get prick tests on my skin, typically on my back. I get blood tests, and I even discussed my progress about my allergies with my allergist.
I met Braxton at 14 months. The peanut reaction was just a few days before I saw you. Sometimes it's hard to find positive reactions, but he was positive already and strongly positive. The vast majority of people with egg allergy are going to outgrow it. The vast majority with peanut allergy are not going to outgrow it.
When I finally outgrew my egg white allergy, it really opened my whole world because of the things I was now able to eat. I could eat cupcakes, cakes, and all the cookies that I wanted.
If someone has an allergic reaction, there has to be some exposure in the past so the person creates what are called antibodies, allergy antibodies. So let's say you eat peanut and you're allergic to peanut. Your body absorbs the protein, and there are preformed antibodies sitting on the histamine-producing cells that recognize peanut as dangerous. So there's lots of release of things like histamine and a lot of other chemicals from the allergy cells that will lead to the symptoms of food allergy, a so-called anaphylactic event, where the histamine can impact any part of our body. The skin, you can get hives, red, itchy welts. Inside the mouth, you can start feeling itching, and then your tongue might swell, your airway might swell. In the lungs, you can create asthma symptoms. Your blood vessels will dilate, your blood pressure can fall, patients sometimes will faint and lose consciousness. The intestinal tract will swell, which will lead to vomiting, and the inflammation will also cause diarrhea.
Anaphylactic shock can vary from person to person. From my memory, you get really dizzy, you can't breathe, and your heart rate just skyrockets. It's a really traumatizing experience that will stick with you forever.
The first line of treatment during a systemic event is to give epinephrine, which is a natural medicine that our own adrenal glands create, but in a higher quantity. And that will do a few things. First of all, the blood vessels will constrict, and that should help, bring the blood pressure up and maintain perfusion through the body. It also makes the heart beat more strongly so that it can overcome this insult from the allergic reaction, and it can help shrink the tissue so your airway will open up. It's a very effective therapy for the vast majority of patients.
So all we're going to do is basically we'll start the process by getting your vitals, seeing how you're doing. As long as you're doing well, we'll have Dr. Torrano come in here, check on you, and he'll basically confirm the dose that we're going to start with. So usually we'll start with a very small amount, like 0.5 grams, maybe even less. And we work our way up, trying to see how much you can tolerate and keep it in a controlled environment like this so we can monitor you the entire way. Just making sure that you're stable, feeling well, doing well, and then once we're done, we'll let you feel.
Dose doubling, we're up to 2 grams. So we'll go ahead and take that, and then I'll come back in 15 minutes and check on you. One of the things that I think is important to remember, and this is a sentiment that is held by many in this field of food allergy, is that it's not just desensitizing to the food, it's desensitizing to the fear associated with the food and ingesting it.
When you're a parent that has a kid with a life-threatening food allergy, you have to be diligent and you can never let your guard down. Every start of a school year, every play date, every airplane ride, every time you go to a friend's house, it's the same routine. You have to outreach to the parents, or you have to outreach to the school, or you have to talk to the person in front of you, ask them about what's in the food. You have to train them on how to use the EpiPen. You have to remind your son to ask the questions and to make sure you let an adult know if your tongue is itchy or your throat is hurting after eating. So it's constant.
Pinewood School is a K-12 private school in the Silicon Valley. We began in 1959 as an after-school arts program. We have 3 campuses. Our lower campus serves kiddos K-2. Our middle campus serves students 3 through 6, and here at the upper campus we serve students through 7th grade through 12th grade.
Having food allergies have naturally made me more paranoid, and more aware of my surroundings. I have to do things that people without food allergies would never even think of, such as checking every food label or always remembering to bring my EpiPen wherever I go. Lunch typically starts at 11:15. On the rare occasions that I don't bring lunch from home, I will, at this time, head to the school lunch line. Although my school is allergy friendly, I always have to double check with the advisors that the lunch given out doesn't have anything I'm allergic to in it. Practice always starts right after school at 3:15 and normally lasts for 2 hours. Sometimes I go out to eat with my friends. Once again, always following the proper safety precautions. I always have to make sure where we're eating is safe. Always have to remember to bring my EpiPen out of my bag into the restaurant. And once again, I always have to check with the waiters to make sure that the food I'm eating is safe. After I get done with all of this, then I can finally enjoy a safe meal with them. On days that I don't go out with my friends, I always eat with my family. I always know that my mom will make sure that what I'm eating and what we order is safe. So luckily, I don't have to worry about that with them. After I finish homework and studying, my day normally ends by me going to sleep by 10 o'clock. For me, a successful day is one that I don't have to use my EpiPen or don't end up in the ER, because I know that any bite could be my last.
Come here. FAACT, Food Allergy Research and Education, is the largest nonprofit organization supporting the journey of a food allergic patient. FAACT focuses on 3 pillars of research, education, and advocacy. The reason why we focus on these 3 pillars is because we want to support the journey of a food allergic patient. While they are dealing with their food allergies, we want to make certain that we invest our funds in treatment options. We want to be able to invest in research to find treatment options and even a cure. And we want to invest in education, educating not only the patient community, but physicians, dietitians, teachers, and individuals that are in the restaurant industry so that we can keep our community safe. Food allergy is a disease. It's not a diet, it's not a preference. Everyone needs to understand that when someone says they have a food allergy, it doesn't mean that we're a picky eater. It is a disease of the immune system.
He hasn't had an anaphylactic shock, thankfully, since that day when he was 14 months old. But we have had a couple of scary incidences. In middle school, Halloween day, he came home and he had so much hives. I've never seen anything like that before, all over his back. And when you see something like that, as a parent, you have to make a quick decision, because if you don't make that decision quickly, the EpiPen will be too late.
At social gatherings, I always have to be aware of what my friends are eating, what they're touching, and even how I interact with them. Something as simple as a high five could cause me to react if my hand comes in contact with my mouth. At my age now, I don't really feel left out because of my allergies, but I always remember as a kid being the one person who couldn't eat the cupcakes or couldn't eat the cookies at playdates or birthday parties. I could never eat the good stuff that the other kids were eating, and it always made me feel left out.
When you have food allergies, kids grow up really quickly because every bite they take can be their last. And so they need to be increasingly resilient. They have to be very, very alert. They have to be vigilant. They have to advocate for themselves. They have to understand how to read labels. They have to be brave and have to ask questions. What is in my food? What ingredients are in this? Food allergy kids, they're not only courageous, they're brave, they're resilient, and they're awesome. They're awesome kids.
When traveling, there's always a checklist of items that I have to bring. I always have to bring my 2 EpiPens, disinfecting wipes to wipe down armrests, seats, or trays to get rid of any traces of peanuts left behind. And I even have to bring face masks. Before traveling, I always research the nearest hospitals to the hotel that I'm staying at. And when traveling abroad, I always make sure to bring a note to show the waiters in their language that explains the severity of my food allergies. When playing sports, I always have to be extra safe and cautious about my allergies. I play basketball year-round for school and for my club team. It always really scares me thinking, what if someone ate peanuts right before a game or a practice? We shake hands a lot, we high-five, and we even play with the same ball, which is just a lot of opportunities for an allergic reaction to happen. I always let my closest friends, relatives, and coaches know about my food allergies. I always let them know where my EpiPen is and even how to administer it just in case. When I'm at a grocery store picking out food items, I always have to check the nutrition labels just to make sure that they don't contain anything that I'm allergic to. Even if it's something that I've eaten countless times, I always have to check the labels because you never know if they change a recipe or add new ingredients. Every time I see a label that says may contain traces or made in a facility that processes, it always frustrates me because it's just so unclear. I'm unable to eat the food, and even if I do eat it, I'm putting myself at risk. Before going to a restaurant, I always call them to make sure that they're allergy safe, and I always look at their online information for their menu and allergens. When I get there, I always have to remind them 3 times about my allergies. 1 time while I'm ordering, 1 time while I'm waiting for my food, and another time when I get my food. Typically, when I tell a waiter about my allergies, they always say, "You should be fine," or "I don't think this has anything in it." But really, this just leaves me uneasy and uncomfortable during the whole meal. It's really frustrating to face this same scenario over and over again.
One of the things that I like to say is when one person has a food allergy, everyone in their family also has a food allergy.
My biggest fear of having a food allergy is having an unexpected anaphylactic reaction when no one's around and just disappearing.
I was inspired to become a food allergy advocate because I lost an 18-year-old son to food allergies. He had just graduated high school in June, and his birthday was on June 25th, and we planned a special trip to Cabos, Mexico with my wife, and he was my oldest son and my 2 other sons to celebrate this great day. You know, so his birthday was on June 25th, so we planned July 1st to fly to Cabos, Mexico. So the day we arrived at Cabos, everything seemed fine. We'd never been there, we were all excited, and we got there kind of late, so it was like 8 o'clock, and they said, you need to go eat at the restaurant right away because they're gonna close. So we just dumped our suitcases in our room, hurried back down, and we ate, and everything seemed uneventful. We had a good dinner, and we started walking around the resort because it was daylight saving time, so it was still pretty bright. And my oldest son, BJ, says, "Dad, my throat hurts. Can we buy some cough drops?" He walked off with his mom, my wife, and I was with my 2 other sons into like an arcade area with a billiard table. So we were playing there, and then some lady that was on our shuttle that came from the airport said, "Sir, you need to go to the lobby." So I go to the lobby, and his lips are pale. He's gasping for air, and he just couldn't breathe. So my wife and I started yelling at him, "BJ, breathe, breathe." And he couldn't talk, you know, and basically he passed out. And the staff came about. I said, "Where's the doctor?" And they said he had left for the day because he's on regular business hours. And they tried to do CPR on him, but then nothing happened. And they called an ambulance, but it seemed like forever for it to get there. And by the time the ambulance came and the doctor came, they took his pulse and they just pronounced him dead. And we were just sitting there, you know, just arriving in Cabos and just in complete shock. You know, sudden death, we didn't know what to do. Started calling my parents. She called her parents and said BJ died. And nobody knew what to do. We were just lost. So that's why I became a food allergy advocate. Is like, I didn't want anybody else to have to suffer. You know, no one should have to die from just eating something.
One of the most exciting innovations in food allergies, imagine, we haven't had breakthroughs in so many years. I think the last breakthrough we've had is Palforzia. And Palforzia has only been specific for those with peanut allergies. But just in 2024, we had two major innovations. One is a epinephrine delivery option, which can be given nasally. And for those individuals that are afraid of needles, and it could be children or adults like myself, giving it through the nasal system is so much easier than giving an injection. And secondly, the drug Xolair, that has been an incredible breakthrough for the food allergy community. And it's these types of innovations that we in the food allergy community have been waiting for a very long time.
There's a new medication that may help with accidental exposures. It's called Xolair.
Xolair is already used to treat allergic asthma and chronic hives, and now it has been authorized to treat people who have multiple food allergies and have an accidental exposure.
And these innovations take great partnerships, and I call them radical collaborations that takes government, academic institutions, and corporations all working together with nonprofit organizations like FAIR to accelerate the pace of research so that we can get these incredible innovations to patients who need them.
Oral immunotherapy is a process in which a patient can slowly be desensitized to something that they have previously been told they were severely anaphylactically allergic to. This process can take anywhere between 6 months to a year plus, just depending on what the allergen is and how a patient responds to the process as they go along.
There's no known cure for allergy. Our three areas of treatment are avoidance, which has been the standard for years, but is a difficult way to live. And so to help improve people's quality of life, people developed, mechanisms to expose the patient to what they're allergic to in small but increasing amounts to induce some degree of tolerance. And right now, most people are doing what's called oral immunotherapy, but there's also work being done on patches for peanut, so transcutaneous therapy, where you expose the patient long term and hopefully induce a state of semi-tolerance. It doesn't mean most of those patients can't eat peanut like you or I would eat peanut. Some can, but for most, it raises their threshold significantly, so they can eat a lot more peanut before they get into trouble. More recently, an antibody called Xolair, which binds to allergy antibodies and inactivates them, has been approved for food allergy, and it does the same thing. It increases your tolerance of small amounts of the food. And they both have shown good efficacy. They both work pretty well for most patients, but they're not a cure. If you stop them, you're going to regress over months, a few months. You're going to usually regress back to where you were before. So they increase your quality of life significantly, but they're not a cure.
Although there's no cure, I've been really impressed by the recent innovations, such as portable devices that can detect traces of allergens in your food. Even there's a lot of innovations out there. A lot of them are still a work in progress, but I'm still hopeful.
Having a safe and food allergy friendly environment is really important to us as a school. And so we train our faculty every 2 years. They get first aid training where we focus on, of course, CPR and emergency response, but we also do specific EpiPen training. We have EpiPen access for our faculty here on campus, lower campus, the lower end of our campus at the front office and in our athletic environment. And we also talk to our faculty at the start of every year and identify students in their classroom who do struggle with allergies and ask them to think about when they're doing class parties or bringing snacks in that they are allergy friendly across all allergens. Braxton has done a lot since joining Pinewood to raise awareness on campus about food allergies. He wrote an article for our newspaper that was really widely read and well received. He's also started a food allergy awareness club, and we're very excited about that club starting to evolve evolve, students are joining the club, and they're thinking also about how it extends beyond Braxton's graduation, which is something really important for students to consider. Braxton's also been working with our trainer, and we're really excited about this part. EpiPens are sometimes really hard for schools to get hold of, and so they're working together to allow Pinewood to have access to the new nasal spray, and we're really excited for that to come through if that works out.
At Pinewood, Braxton was inspired by this class called the Pinewood Scholars Program, where he learned how to find his voice, think critically, and become a problem solver to make an impact, whether it was locally, nationally, or globally. This class really sparked curiosity for him. It motivated him to step forward. What I loved about it was he found his voice and how to deal with allergies, and now he's advocating for food allergy awareness, which is now going to be a lifelong mission for him.
The Pinewood Scholars Program originally started off as a history class where we learned about social movements throughout time, like the women's movement, the civil rights movement, and then alongside learning about those movements, the students would create endeavors inspired by those movements. As time has gone on, we've evolved the program. The program is now more about the students really digging into their passions, figuring out what they're interested in, engaging with community partners in order to find a project that appeals to them, that they want to sink their teeth into for the entire junior year. Senior year is a reflective year. Senior year is learning about how to tell the story of their journey in a professional way.
Pinewood Scholars is very important to our culture here at Pinewood. It aligns with our mission, where we want students focusing on seeking knowledge, making an impact, and also building confidence to do so. So giving them the skills and tools to go out into the world and have that impact.
I was always quiet about my food allergy until this past year when I was accepted into a social entrepreneurship class where I really found my voice. It was then that I founded Beyond the Shell, an initiative aimed to spread food allergy awareness and education.
And I remember talking with him over the summer when I interviewed with him about all of his ideas. I think at the time it was interested in sneakers. That was a big inspiration, which I love. Braxton originally came to me as a leader. I love the fact that he was willing to take that risk. He just has such a passion about him. Even though at that time he didn't know what he wanted to do, I knew that he was going to do amazing things with his project because he just exudes that energy, that connection.
Through my initiative, I've created a platform that contains all the latest news and innovations around peanut allergies. I've also created educational pamphlets to teach people how to advocate for their own allergies and to teach those around them how to create a safer environment for those affected.
Braxton has also spoken to us about Food Allergy Awareness Month in May, and we're thrilled that he's going to be promoting food allergies here on campus. And we're really going to be encouraging our community to support Braxton and support food allergy awareness by participating in the walk in Palo Alto.
When I met Braxton, I was really blown away. I was blown away because he's really the resilient child, adult that we're all hoping for. Food allergies can have a tremendous burden on anyone that could put that behind them, be resilient and be vigilant and also thrive, is an individual that you really have to look up to. This young man chose to use it as a superpower and create something really incredible.
Hey everyone, so as many of you may or may not know, my name is Braxton, and I just wanted to start off by thanking everyone for being here today. I've been able to find my voice and advocate for something that I'm truly passionate about.
The advocacy work that Braxton doing, I think, is fantastic. You know, he's out there, you know, I've been an advocate, you know, ever since my son died, but it's good to see younger people come out and advocate for food allergies because they have a long life ahead of them. They need to make it a safe environment. You shouldn't have to live in fear.
So I've learned that Braxton is a powerhouse. He is a powerhouse on the basketball court and he loves school. He loves it here at Pinewood. I love how committed he is to his passions, and I think that he's really starting to discover, you know, he's been silent about his allergies and struggled for so long, and now I think that he's really starting to discover that he wants to make an impact in this way and help other students.
I am incredibly proud of Braxton and the work that he has put into becoming an advocate for FAAR. And all of the advocacies put forward, just being a teen in his community with food allergy and speaking out on his experiences. And I think that this is a valuable resource for other, especially other kids that are going through the same thing in his age group. And there are a lot of them. I think that at this age it is so very important for teens to have an outlet, somebody who they can talk to, somebody who they can relate to. And Braxton is an incredible person to be an advocate for food allergy, given his previous experiences, his reactions, his journey through food allergy up until now.
I think Braxton has shown a lot of the students that you can take a lot of different approaches to one issue. So the fact that Braxton has multiple ways that he's approaching this issue is fantastic. And it's also inspiring the students to think through what are other ways that I can expand my project or expand my reach. So Braxton has the brochures that he's going to be handing out as an informational activity, but on top of that, he's then layered on the walk and layered on connections with the food allergy awareness group. And so I think he is able to show a lot of students in the class that you can do more than just that one endeavor. You can reach beyond.
If I could tell another teen living with food allergies one thing, I would want them to find their voice, learn to advocate for themselves, and even help raise awareness, because that could save a life.